why am I so obsessed about reincarnation? Well, I want to share like two crazy stories that prompted me to want to do the research, because I want to prove it, because it's real to me, but I can't go out and shout from the soapbox, hey people, there's reincarnation. You know, I want you to get the research documentation, look at it from the University of Virginia, see what research and proof they have discovered, and then you make your own decision. But my personal experience was, since I was a very little girl, I remember a life in Peru, okay? I remember being a mother in Peru. I remember that I had 3 children, and I remember that they died in the flood. And I just know it, because I remember it like a memory of something that I personally experienced. Well, shortly before I started diving into all the research on reincarnation, I went to Peru for the first time. Even though my interest and attachment to Peru started when I was a little girl, and I was obsessed. When I was a teenager, I read everything I could get on that country. Couldn't get enough of it. Finally, as an adult, I go there, and I remember being in Cusco. And Cusco is way in the mountains.
Super high up,
okay?
yeah.
High altitude, right? So I get to Cusco, and there was an ancient wall, okay, that was in the middle of the town. And it was my first day, and I remember feeling like my body was physically super, like, electrical. It felt like, it just shaky, and I felt a energetic vibration, like my body was, vibrating at a higher frequency. It was very strange. Okay, so there in the middle of Cusco is this ancient wall, and as I was experiencing this strange energy, felt like electricity in my body, and it was uncomfortable actually. It was quite uncomfortable. And I went over to this wall and I just put my hand on it, and it was like it was a time capsule, because as soon as I put my hand on the wall, I was transported back in time, and I could hear people working, building the wall. I could hear the sound of ancient, whatever was happening. I had the sense that it was like 900 or like 1,000 years ago at least. And I lived there, and I was a mom, and I had my 3 children. And I remember I could hear all the sounds of people working and the language, and then I took my hand off the wall. And as soon as I took my hand off the wall, I was back. Like, oh, that's so weird. Oh my God. I put my hand back on the wall, and I was back in time again. Oh my God. So the wall and my hand was like the connection to the past life. And as long as I had my hand on the wall, I could be that woman. And so I started feeling this horrible grief. And I knew that my children had died in a flood, in a massive flood. And it was here, like where I was. But I'm like, I took my hand off the wall, and I'm like, that's so strange. But that doesn't make any sense, because there's no water there. Cusco is in the friggin' mountains, right? Like way high. I'm like, why would I be afraid of a flood? And it's like there was a big river, and I had a sense of the river. And I'm like, what the hell? Put my hand back on the wall, instantly back with this grieving mother, like my children, and I felt the pain of losing my children. But I couldn't figure out why I was seeing this river. Well, the next couple days, of course, I made the plan to go to Machu Picchu, took the train, and guess what you see as you get outside of Cusco? Just this raging river that leads you all the way to
Machu Picchu.
Machu Picchu.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's the river.
Aguas Calientes, that town's called.
And there it was. It was like, so it all sort of connected the dots for me in the sense that now I understand why I was obsessed as a little girl with this Peruvian story. And I knew, oh, by the way, the linear time question, I knew that I had, in my immediate last lifetime, I had been this mother. In other words, so even though the timeline, I am now in 2019, but my immediate past life was from 700 or 800 in Peru as a mother who lost 3 children in a flood. So your reincarnation, it doesn't happen in a linear way. You can go from being in the future to the past in the next lifetime to the remote past to the future to another planet. Depends on what your reincarnation is. In other words, you're not reincarnating on a linear timeline because, of course, that doesn't exist anyway. So that was one of my past life experiences. Kind of crazy. What do you think?
That's pretty.
Are you sold?
I'm sold. From the soul. But wait, have you had any more past life, like things come back to you recently in like the past year or so? Yeah?
Yeah, like the past month. It was see, the thing is that once you start tapping into this information and you agree to it, then you work with spirit, right? The whole world opens up like a clam, and you get exposed to all the magic of the sea, of the ocean, of this reality.
So you kind of have to like just
you have to
have that mentality and just kind of like be aware and be open, and then soon enough you just kind of start to see these things.
It comes in. So I went recently to Barcelona. But anyway, so I get to Barcelona. I've never been to Barcelona before, okay? And I'm in the taxi, coming in from the airport. Okay, I'm just minding my own business sitting in the friggin' taxi, okay? I'm tired. I've just flown in from England. I was studying with Tony Stockwell, a mediumship boot camp. I was just minding my own business, happy to be traveling to Barcelona, new city, okay? And it's like 10 o'clock at night. Okay, I'm in the back of the taxi, minding my own business, just looking out the window, not thinking of anything, clear-headed. And all of a sudden, I get a craving, like, I have to have it right now. Like, I need this immediately. I get an overwhelming, insatiable craving for a cigar. Now, I don't smoke. I hate smoking. I can't stand cigar smoke. Like, if I smell a cigar, I have to leave. I hate it, okay? But I'm driving in to Barcelona, minding my own business, and I am overtaken. Like, no, I need a cigar like now. Like an addict would crave heroin, I suppose. And they say that tobacco's more addictive than heroin.
Oh, yeah?
In that moment, my physical body was craving
Tobacco.
no, a cigar. It had to be a cigar, okay? I'm like, what the hell? I don't smoke. I hate smoking. Instantly, then, I got a sense of my body not being my body. Like, I was no longer, like my body, this body, I did not feel this body. I felt I was something else. And what I was a really, really unhealthy, fat, like super, like I'm talking like belly fat, like the kind that like gross,
Mm-hmm.
like
boom.
like gout. Like I ate only not junk food, because it was 400 years before. I was in like 1500s.
Here on this planet?
I was in the 1500s. I was in the back of a carriage. This is the sense I had.
Okay.
I was coming back from a business trip somewhere, but I was in a carriage. I was really fat, and I was really wealthy, and I ate way too much food, and I smoked cigars, and I was that person. I'm like, oh my God, this is so weird. I felt my body as a man. I was very rich. I had a really important job. I think I was a politician of some sort. I felt like I was really like, oh yeah, I'm like super important. Yeah, I very ego driven. Oh yeah, money, had to have money. So anyway, I'm feeling this. Get to downtown Barcelona. Drop my bags in the hotel. I'm still overwhelmed with this feeling of being not Sally, but being a man, a really fat man and unhealthy, probably with gout. And I knew my way around Barcelona, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So as this person who, I don't know, I followed a path in downtown, in the Gothic Center, in the old town part of Barcelona. I knew where I was going. I ended up in what is now a boutique hotel, but it was a converted, beautiful Renaissance villa that they now made into a boutique hotel. I walked right into that living room, my living room, and there were pictures on the wall that were from the era from before. I knew those pictures. And I sat down in the restaurant, which was my living room because that was my house, okay? I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. And it was out of body, like, no, this is my house. This is my living room. And then this woman comes over, she goes, oh, would you like to order something? And I'm like, yeah, I'd like to order something. Okay, so I order some food. Okay, this is where it gets weirder. Adrian, I'm left-handed, okay? I've always been left-handed. I'm not ambidextrous. I'm left-handed, okay? She brings the food. I start eating the food like I'm like starving and have never eaten food before because I'm shoveling it down. But I discover somewhere mid-meal that I'm eating with my right hand. I'm not right-handed. I'm not right-handed.
That's creepy.
And
but did you realize it, or like later you were like?
I was in the middle. I'm like, because I kind of snapped out of it. I was like in this dream, said, "Well, this is my house," and yeah, I remember my servants were over there, and I had these memories like of being really important and tired from my journey, and then I had like snapped out of it, and I was like, wait, I don't use this hand to eat. This is way out of character. I'm not right-handed, and I don't smoke cigars. And I don't eat meat. So it's like I had this sense of it. And then, to make matters worse, I got up and I left the building without paying my bill.
Oh, wow.
I have never done that in my life. I'm walking down the street and all of a sudden the waitress stops me. She goes, ma'am, you didn't pay your bill. I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, well, then I remember thinking to myself, well, why should I pay a bill? They work for me. I live there. And so I remember that when I got up to leave the restaurant, I was feeling that it was still my house and that I was being served by the people who cooked for me. So I'm like, oh my God. And then it sort of, after like a little bit later, that it just sort of went away. But that was the craziest thing ever. And I was talking to some friends, obviously psychics, about this afterwards, and the question was that a past life, or was that like people talk about possessions? Okay, were you possessed by a spirit? Absolutely not. Okay, because the information that I was sensing was ownership. In other words, I needed that cigar because that's who I was. I sensed it as me, as a part of me. My higher consciousness recognized that person in the same way that I recognized the Peruvian woman as part of my soul journey. I was also having a soul journey as that man in Barcelona who ate way too much. So, yeah.